Okay, let's unpack your sources for today. We're diving deep into, well, a really critical topic, the global economic outlook, specifically looking at a simulated five-year forecast, say 2025 to 2030. We got a stack of fascinating reports, some cutting-edge research you've shared, and our mission really is to give you a shortcut, help you get well-informed, fast. We're pulling out the key nuggets on how climate change is already hitting the global economy. This isn't some distant future thing. It's happened right now for you.
And what's really striking here, I think, is that the main driver, the primary driver of this near-term economic damage, it isn't just the slow, gradual warming we often talk about. It's the increasing frequency, the intensity, and crucially, the correlation of extreme weather events. These sudden acute shocks are now a major drag on macroeconomic stability. They fundamentally challenge the sort of static risk models we've traditionally relied on. It demands a whole new way of thinking about these short-term vulnerabilities.
That's a really powerful distinction. You mentioned these acute shocks. What are the sources telling us about how well current economic models are actually capturing this, the true scale of the risk?
Yeah, well, it turns out many models seem to underestimate it significantly. They really struggle with things like, say, non-market damages, what's the dollar value of lost biodiversity, or human health impacts. And they often fail to capture potential tipping points, those catastrophic shifts where a system just crosses a threshold and changes really rapidly, maybe irreversibly. Think like a major ice sheet collapsing suddenly.
Right. So it's more than just an underestimation. It's almost like a fundamental blind spot in the way we've been looking at it.
Exactly. And this creates what you could call a dangerous underestimation bias. For instance, there's a recent NBER paper that's the National Bureau of Economic Research, and it estimates that each 1 degree Celsius increase in global temperature, it's linked to about a 12% decline in world GDP. Now, that figure is roughly 6 times larger than many previous estimates.
6 times what?
Yeah. It implies much, much steeper economic losses than are widely discussed. It really highlights how our traditional tools might just be ill-equipped for this new reality we're facing.
Okay, that's a huge shift in perspective. So bringing it down to ground level.
Yeah.
What does all this actually mean for global markets for you listening right now in this sort of 2025, 2030 window?
Well, the direct costs are already, frankly, staggering. Just look at the U.S. The average annual cost of billion-dollar weather disasters there, it's more than doubled in just the last 5 years. Doubled. It reached $149.3 billion per year on average.
That's incredible.
It is. And think about it, that's a massive amount of capital just diverted from productive investment straight into recovery and rebuilding. It's hard to even wrap your head around that number, isn't it?
It really is. And beyond that direct damage, what about the ripple effects? How does this climate volatility connect to something like inflation, which affects, well, everyone's budget?
You've hit on a really critical point there. Climate change is absolutely a significant source of supply-side volatility. Just think about it, droughts, like the one hitting the Panama Canal back in 2023. They create huge shipping bottlenecks, drive up costs. Or imagine simultaneous heat waves hitting major agricultural zones across the globe. These things directly contribute to what some people are starting to call fossilflation, kind of a persistent climate-driven inflation. And that presents really challenging dynamics for central banks trying to manage economies.
And how is the wider financial system reacting? The banks, the insurers, the bedrock of the economy, how are they starting to grapple with these shifts?
Well, the IMF, for one, now explicitly recognizes climate change as a macrocritical threat to financial stability. That basically means a risk so large it could potentially destabilize entire economies, even global markets. And we're seeing concrete examples already. Insurers pulling back coverage from high-risk areas, think parts of California, Florida. It creates these insurance deserts that threatens housing markets, property values. It really sets the stage for a potential climate Minsky moment.
A Minsky moment, like a sudden crash.
Sort of, yeah. A sudden, disorderly repricing of assets across the board as the true underlying climate risks suddenly become undeniable to the market. A sharp correction.
And as we're digging into all this, another truth seems really stark and frankly unfair. These impacts, these economic hits, they aren't spread evenly, are they? Who's bearing the brunt?
That's an essential point and a really tough one. Developing countries, especially low-income nations and small island developing states, they face just disproportionate, often devastating burdens. Their welfare losses, measured as a percentage of their own economy, can be something like 5 times higher than in high-income countries. It raises huge questions about global equity.
It sounds like they get caught in a terrible cycle.
They really do. It's been called a debt disaster loop. A major climate impact hits, forces them to take on more debt just to recover, which then hampers development, pushes potentially millions into extreme poverty. It's not just a humanitarian crisis, though it certainly is that. It's also a genuine threat to overall global stability and the supply chains we all rely on.
Wow. This deep dive, it really underscores how tightly linked our global economy is with the climate and how immediate these challenges actually are. Not future problems, but now problems.
It really does.
Yeah.
The core message coming through from the sources is pretty clear. These next 5 years, 2025 to 2030, they're going to be a period of profound recalibration. It demands a fundamental shift in thinking, moving away from those static risk assessments toward more dynamic multi-model frameworks and building just-in-case resilience, not just-in-time efficiency.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe as you go about your week, building on what we've sort of unpacked for you here, maybe consider this. What's one area, just one, in your own life or your work where you could perhaps proactively shift, move a little from that pure just-in-time efficiency mindset towards more just-in-case resilience? It's a powerful thought, perhaps, for you to mull over.